Don't change your lifestyle as such. Take this, the easy way out.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of this fucking easy way out and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, lots of people have lost very close members of their family. They've lost their children, partners, parents, etc. As tragic as it is, there is still tomorrow. You still have to move forward, so you remember the dead and you live for the living. There's not really much option in this. You can either sink or swim. But even this attitude now can be seen as being negative. I mean, I think you can't even use man up anymore or things like this, certain phrases. But, you know, in reality, you either move forward or you don't. If you don't move forward, there has to be an infrastructure to help you. That doesn't exist anyway. Let's take the issue of racism. But if you look at, for example, the 70s and the 80s, these were hard times. There used to be something called the Anti-Packy League, and it was brutal. I mean, I remember Mum taking us to school, being spat at. You're going on the bus and you see 4 or 5 people think, oh, fuck, this is going to be a bad day here. Right, those days have gone, thankfully. Yeah, little snippets happen, there'll all be idiots now, but let's not discount it, let's not negate it as to what's happened. I mean, I was at a school with a kid, he was bullied so much he jumped in a train track. And like, you're a kid, you got to bear in mind, when you're 12, 13, 14 and someone's 20, he's a fully grown man, and like, you're surrounded by them and they gave you a kicking. Now, so if you grow up today and say, right, every situation you've got to blame them and have this massive, I've probably got a bit of a chip on my shoulder, or maybe two, but you know, you can't blame that for everything today, really. You can't, because times have moved on. And then if you look at the Asian community particularly, exceptionally well, medicine, sciences, academics, dentistry, law, accountancy, all right, bit of drug dealing, I'll give you that, right? But they've done exceptionally well in 50 years or 60 years. A lot of these things now, you've got to move forward. If you want to use the word revenge, it's through your success.
Okay, so we have my big friend in today. Because I don't see you often face to face, I forget how big you are, and then you make me feel small. So I've put him on a small chair, just like that a little bit bigger. But Imran, welcome to the table, my friend.
Thank you very much.
And I mean it, because you know I know you've travelled from 8 o'clock this morning from London, haven't you?
Yeah.
Ubered all the way to see me. So I really appreciate you coming over, man. But just. We're going to do the present in a minute. Is it parked outside what you've brought me, or I can't see it in a minute? Where have you parked it?
It's just on the side.
Oh, down the road, yeah, cool. Yeah. I knew you would. So we'll do the present in a minute, but first of all, just give us a very short, sort of like, brief breakdown of who you are, what you do.
Basically, I'm involved in the sort of sports and health industry, functional health industry, qualified many years ago, as a sports physiologist, originally as a physio, and then from there on to sports physiology, from there on to performance, and more so now onto genetics and longevity. So within that sort of long journey, I mean, the current PhD I'm on, it's been 7 years I've been working on this now. It's about 6 months left or a year left, if I have the time to finish it. And it's just looking at different aspects of human performance, looking at the philosophical, crappy side of it, but the theoretical side of it, of how mindset is performed, how the group you're in, the subsections of, for example, let's say you've got bodybuilding or weightlifting, within that you've got different subsects of powerlifting, of strongman, and then you've got a cultural bias towards certain things, and you've got a whole history of different structures which make you who you are. So we're looking at all of that side of it, and of course we're also looking at performance-enhancing drugs, on how they help, how they don't help, how they work, a analysis of 34,000 blood results, with cycles, immersed with heart scans, ultrasounds, and that's one of the biggest. I mean, that's another 2 years left for that. So we were lucky enough to get quite a considerable amount of funding for that. It's a real big job to analyse all of that data, to see how things will be affected longitudinally. And this is why really many times I don't want to get into arguments with people, because the data's there. So to give you just a rough example, 1.7 million figures went into algorithms, went into data analysis, over 140,000 people's results. And then we have access to around about 600,000 results in the States, Australia, New Zealand, Denmark, and all of that data is being collated to see what's happened over a 5 or a 10 year period.
Mm.
So that's a lot of work. It's a lot of data.
Yeah.
You
So
know.
would you say right now then you're 'cause obviously you run your clinics and you make money from that and you make your living as such, but would you say your main focus then ultimately is all the research side of things?
It's basically research, yeah, a bit of bookworm.
Yeah, but obviously that's going to eventually, what we'll see, come into something quite big, won't it?
Yeah, I mean it is very big, to be honest, because it's for next year and the year after. For example, we've been working on some of the epigenetic side of it, the DNA side of it, of genes, certain genes. So if you imagine the epigenetics of certain things which get triggered or on-off switches,
Yeah.
what certain interventions can switch on and certain interventions can switch off. So a lot of this stuff is right at the sort of cutting edge of it. There's not just me, there's a whole team of people working on this, some very prominent professors, much smarter than me, very, very sort of clever people. And because you've got to remember, with the whole world now, with AI and the whole part of performance, there's a lot of money to be made in data, in genetics, in data, in performance. Why can one guy 110 kg and another guy 100 kg, same height, same weight, even if, for example, the same wrist size, the knee size, shoulder size, how can one guy can lift heavier than the other guy? What's in it? So if you look at the genetics, what's triggering it within the genetics which can do that, then the food, then what type of, for simple terms, what types of drugs are helping, what aren't helping, what dose is helping, what dose is negative, what is positive. I mean, there are even tests to be looking at, which we are launching very soon, is literally we can probably work out down to the mg what dose is effective and what isn't. Whether people follow that or not is a different story.
Yeah, of course.
But that it theoretically is possible, and we're not far off that. Some of the trials have been done. In one of the projects, we've done 5 years of trialing, and it didn't work. It didn't actually work. It was just abandoned.
Wow.
So it takes that's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
It's a lot of sleepless nights. It's a lot of grey hair.
And to find that out at the end is probably
To find out at the end,
ball,
or sometimes it's actually correct, but there's not enough funding to carry on.
Yeah.
I mean, lab time. I mean, one of the burn rate on some projects, it can be £5,000-10,000 a day, and put that over 2 years.
Yeah.
And Great Britain isn't great for funding for research, unless, for example, I went up that option of like a transgender Pakistani lesbian.
Definitely get it all in there.
I'd get loads of money then, I mean, I'd get tons of money. But that sort of stuff would be funded. But with a lot of the stuff we're doing, also because it's predominantly to do with male health, and this is the point I'd like to make, and I'll probably get flack for it. Male health in this country is completely non-existent, absolute none, compared to other countries. So pushing anything masculine is considered as toxicity.
Yeah.
Pushing anything masculine is considered as what the fuck, or what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So anything which is in, for example, what we do and the world we're involved in, it's considered sort of fairly, if you like, toxic anyway.
Yeah.
Until they need you.
But people, they're just jumping on that, aren't they, now? And that's
It's very easy.
sad.
It's a bandwagon which is very easy to jump on, and you don't have to justify it.
No.
Where the beauty is, if you do any research, you have to give a pro and con argument, and you have to sort of, there's a whole philosophical, ontological, and all of these big words way of you have to justify your argument and the evidence you present, and your peers have to review that, and then, essentially come to a conclusion. But if you just say, listen, Dean, you're toxic, you're pushing the wrong angle of masculinity, there's nothing you can do to defend yourself as such. And we are living in a strange time, and if we were to go into other aspects of research, it's more become a labour of love, if you like, more than financial. Yeah, there will be a reward, no doubt, but it's a very sort of complex area we're going into, and you're going with a lot of cognitive dissonance. You may have 50 academics who believe this is yellow, and if they're saying it's yellow, and then you have to accept that it's yellow.
Yeah.
And this is the sort of world we're living in now. It's a strange one, especially as one gets older. You realise in the last 25, 30 years there's been huge fundamental changes massive shifts from the internet, mobile phones, social media, all of this sort of crap, and then thought patterns are changing and behaviour is changing, which is evident for us everywhere.
Yeah, but I guess if we have to go through that because that's what's happening. But then at the same time, we have to try and pull through, don't we, to stand our ground and still stick by what we believe.
Well, look, I mean, you know, ultimately, it doesn't matter what happens, and if anyone's lost, for example, a very close member of the family or a child or something, as you know, in the case, you know, I have. It's not a situation where you just have to sort of move forward. And I mean, lots of people have lost very close members of their family. They've lost their children, partners, parents, etc. And as tragic as it is, there is still tomorrow. You still have to move forward. So, you know, you remember the, you remember the dead and you live for the living. There's not really much option in this. You can either sink or swim. But even this attitude now can be seen as being negative.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So if you I mean, I think you can't even use man up anymore or things like this, certain phrases. But in reality, you either move forward or you don't. But if you don't have if you don't move forward, there has to be an infrastructure to help you. That doesn't exist anyway.
Yeah,
it doesn't exist. So really that whole mind situation, you need to have positive people around you to move you forward.
Yeah, I think there's too much time, isn't there, that people are allowing people to stay in that grey area. Do you know what I mean? Like you say, if you've had something tragic, have your time down, but then you need to get back up again.
Well, look,
too long people are staying in the middle of it, aren't they?
Let's take the issue of racism. Let's just say the issue of racism. All right. Obviously, you're a white guy. Probably racist. You look like a racist. So,
skinhead and all that.
Skinhead, yeah, tattooed, thug. But if you look at, for example, the 70s.
Yeah.
Now, when I was sort of young, and the 80s, these were hard times. The National Front. There used to be something called the Anti-Paki League, APL. There used to be Paki bashing. Now, I don't know if you can say these words or not, but I've said them.
No, same.
And it was brutal. I mean, I remember Mum taking us to school, being spat at. You're going on the bus and you see 4 or 5 people think, oh, fuck, this is going to be a bad day here. And you've got this 20-minute journey, and it was massive abuse. Those days have gone now.
Yeah.
Right, those days have gone, thankfully. Yeah, little snippets happen, they'll all be idiots now, but
that's part of normal life,
but
isn't it?
I think, look, like, for example, if you're a ginger, you get a lot of flack.
Yeah.
Probably the only people you can still bully now.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of, there's a lot of flack around for a lot of things, but if you had that, let's not discount it, let's not negate it as to what's happened. I mean, I was at a school with a kid, and he was bullied so much, he in one morning in the school assembly, the school said, by the way, everybody, this kid's died, and he'd jump in a train track. So there are tragic consequences.
Was that when you was at school?
Yeah, I was at school, yeah.
Did you know him close?
Yeah, he was in the same class, but in the morning in assembly, he was getting bullied so much, and then you had the skinheads, and then you had the sort of the football hooligans. I remember once on a train, I remember that so well, on this train, and there's these Millwall fans, and you're the only non-white guy on this carriage, and you've seen them, you thought, oh shit, this is going to not go well. And the guys come up to me and go, oh mate, you look familiar. Oh, did you do something to my mum? And like, you're a kid, you got to bear in mind, when you're 12, 13, 14 and someone's 20, he's a fully grown man.
Yeah.
And like, you're surrounded by them and they gave you a kicking.
Yeah.
Now, so if you grow up today and say, right, every situation you've got to blame them and have this massive, I've probably got a bit of a chip on my shoulder, or maybe two, but, you can't blame that for everything today, really. You can't, because times have moved on. And then if you look at the Asian community particularly, exceptionally well, medicine, sciences, academics, dentistry, law, accountancy. All right, bit of drug dealing, I'll give you that, right? But they've done exceptionally well in 50 years or 60 years. Exceptionally well. One of the highest education rates in the country, one of the highest property ownership in the country. You've seen all the supercars, you've seen everything, and so, they've moved on from it. So the kids, and I've said this numerous times, and people, oh, he's been a coconut, he's been a fucking coconut. The kids today, like this young man here, he has no idea what we lived through. So he has no excuse.
Yeah.
There is zero excuse because the people we battered and the ones we had fights with for self-defense, so they didn't have to do it. Now, we didn't have a great philosophical stance that we're doing this for future generations.
No.
This wasn't war, like, we had
You didn't wear a T-shirt saying, I'm changing the future.
No, right, we just did it because you had to do it.
Survival mechanism.
And when we were kids, I mean, we remember quite well, we were very close to the Irish community, extremely close to the Irish community, because they had the same flag.
Yeah.
And then you had the Birmingham bombings, etc., and these things. So we stuck together. So we'd be training at the Dublin Boxing Club or the Irish Boxing Club, etc., because we were all together at the time. So, to play a lot of these things now, you've got to move forward, and you can show if you want to use the word revenge, is through your success. Because you'll always have someone saying, I mean, let's for example say the Saudis, they're buying up all these players. Money talks. It doesn't matter what color you are.
Yeah, that's true.
You think they're gonna tell a billionaire you can't go to this particular restaurant or you can't go to this particular club? Of course they're not. So I think that racism has completely changed now. Yes, it does exist. Little snippets of it. Generally speaking,
but it's blended into different things, isn't it?
Look, people, if they don't like you, they don't like you anyway. It's not a big deal. But the easiest card would be to say, "Oh, you're effing black B, or you're effing Packy, or you're this and that." Yeah, and that's just more because they're dumb. I mean, that sort of essence of that era we grew in.
They're just following suit, aren't they, of something they've seen? But it's like at school, we said earlier on, but I won't deny it. It was fun going to school and fighting, and it was blacks against whites. I mean, we had Bengalis against us, and it wasn't actually because of the colour. It was just because there was always that cult of they stood in one area, we stood in another area.
That's the thing, yeah. I mean,
now all the guys that are around here, I know them and we shake hands and I buy food from them. They've got,
Well, I can tell by your height.
But you know what I'm saying though, and that's that thing. We laugh about that now, and I don't see that as it was known as racism. But obviously, as you know, I've got two Asian brothers, so it's a bit like, do you know what I mean? And that's not a joke as well.
One of the things I always have this memory of, there was a lad, I mentioned his name, I haven't seen him for decades, Mark Walkman. And we went to his house. He said, "I'll come to my house after school, to play Atari or something." So with the kids, Atari was this first console. And we went down, and his mum was like, "Oh, you brought your Packy mate with you?" Right. Now...
Standard line.
Yeah, if you look back, that's sort of funny now. At the time, you were like, the fuck's going on here?
Yeah. Is Packy racist?
Yeah. But if I say...
Because it's funny, isn't it? Because Packy is short for Pakistani, yeah? But it's the way it's used, isn't it?
It's the connotation, isn't it? It's not because Pakistan, for the white guys who can't spell, Pakistan. Okay, so I'm being a bit racist now. So the first
for the white man who can't spell.
Yeah. So the first four letters, but it's the way it was said.
It was aggressive, wasn't it? Packy.
Well, Packy. You fucking Packy when they kick your head in.
It's
not really a fun term, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the other things I remember, like Bernard Manning and these shows, the comedians, which I think you're too young to remember. So they'd be on a Saturday night making some jokes about Packies or Asians or black people. Monday morning at school, we had the same jokes. So the kids, oh, how do you stop a Packy from drowning? Take your foot off his head. Ha, 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 ha. Now, it's not funny when you're 12.
No.
And you're surrounded with...
But also, how do you stop a white man from drowning?
Well, white people can swim.
But you know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a Packy?
You got to remember,
why do you have to say that?
Our mums, you'll never have a Pakistani crossing the English Channel because our mum won't let us. You'll never have a Pakistani climbing Mount Everest because the mum will say it's too cold, son.
Yeah.
You've got to have 8 layers of coats on.
Yeah.
Take your cocoa with you, Horlicks, big thing, Horlicks. So these things won't happen to us.
Yeah.
You'll never find a Pakistani lost in some river somewhere ever because his mum won't let him go. So, these little things at the time, they weren't necessarily funny, but the minute you sort of got to uni, things changed. And then obviously the perspectives changed and a lot more multiculturalism. And I'll tell you this, and a lot of people might disagree. For example, France is a shithole. A lot more racist in France, Austria, Switzerland. Britain isn't that bad. Now, again, if there's any Asians who are watching this, he's being a fucking coconut. I'm not at all, because I haven't travelled. I have. I've travelled extensively. and it isn't that bad. We still have a somewhat, if you get your grades, you can still get gone to uni, still do well, still do this. I got this research fund. There were 440 people who applied for it, and we got it. So I didn't personally get any of that money, but the money's being used for research.
Yeah.
But so I can't say, oh well, it was racism. I'm sitting here with a big white dude with tattoos, skinhead, who used to fight black people at school.
Yeah.
Right? So, you've got a lot of this thing, and when it comes down to, I said it to my kids and I say it to other young kids, don't use it as an excuse to not to move forward. Don't do that, because the opportunities are there.
Yeah, it's what you focus your energy and time on, isn't
and look,
it? Yeah.
for what if, like, as you know, I'm like fucking massive. Sometimes, oh, you lanky bastard. Well, yeah, I am. Right, yeah, I am tall. Yeah, what do you do about it? So, with a lot of these things, and I encourage you, for everybody, white, black kids, whatever, there's all going to be bullying and these sort of things. Just get over it. Of course, there is that vindictive bullying, which is too much, which is more common in schools now. These kids they're putting it on social media. I saw something like a death page. Some kids at school were doing which kid should die.
Wow.
So you got a 7-8-year-old and he's the number one kid. So that sort of stuff should be nipped in the bud.
Yeah. But as well, the sad thing there is they're trying to do that just to get popular, aren't they?
But they're just idiots, aren't they?
They're just doing it because it's going to get shared. It's going to get famous. Oh, you're the guy that made that, or whatever it may be.
I swear to God, if it was any of my kids, I'd slap the dad up.
Well,
honest to God, yeah. I'd sort the dad out, sort your kid out.
Yeah.
There's no point in slapping the kid up, he's dumb.
No, yeah.
Right, but
he's the one that's brought him up.
Yeah, exactly, slap the dad up.
Yeah.
And at the same time, whether we like it or we don't, we all have to live together, whether we like it or we don't. The politicians will always put the public against each other for their own corruption and for their own masses, which is another argument altogether. But, the whole thing is that everybody grew up with anyone who's anybody. Not that I am anybody, but everyone's had some type of trauma, some sort of hardship. It's very difficult. I had this debate with this guy once, and who said I've got a massive chip on my shoulder, and I told him I've got 2. And I said to him, you will never know what it's like when your mom's taken to school and kids are spitting at your mom, right, because she's a different colour. You'll never know what it's like. But not just once, but consistently in that era.
Yeah.
Getting on the bus every day.
What did you do? Did you retaliate? Or
we were too small at the time.
Yeah.
We were too small. All we'd say is, fuck off, you white bastard. Because you didn't know
because you're throwing the same back what they throw at you.
We didn't know what to say, but there was a lot more of them.
Yeah.
But obviously when we got bigger, and then we had, because in Birmingham we had like the Aston boys, we had the Panthers, we had the Lynx, we had the Jotts. We had these little gangs formed up, which is again, it's funny now. But you know what? Then people would get fucked up.
Yeah.
They'd get shit would happen. People, I remember, I swear to God, telephone directories, sellotape to arms, and under your clothes with jackets, and you were going to fight, so you'd know these guys would be hanging there, and you'd go off to fight them.
Yeah.
And they were kids, so I don't know if you can see, but you can't see on here. It should be an A, P, and L, anti-Packy League.
Yeah.
They'd Stanley knife that into kids. Now these were kids.
What, into the ones of the gang?
No, just randomly some guys would grab you and they'd get a Stanley knife and put APL on with a Stanley knife.
Wow.
This is the era we grew up in.
You've not got that, have you?
No, mate. I've got the other one, AYL. Right? But the thing was, this is how, that era was.
Yeah.
And it's so much better to that era now. In fact, in some ways, you could argue the opposite now. You could argue the opposite.
Yeah. Well, you can in certain areas, quite like.
So I dare you now, call me a Packy. I dare you.
There's too many. There's 2 to 1 in this room,
Right.
But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, obviously, I don't know if you know. Oh, you will know actually. But like Leicester's known as it's known as Spot the White Man Street.
Yeah.
What is it?
Belgrave Road.
Belgrave Road.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, obviously, it's funny to say that, but we all call it that because that's just what it's known as.
Yeah.
I didn't even know the name of it. There you go. I just proved it. I didn't know the name of the street. I knew it was that. But again, that's a soft blow of something that's just what it's called, right? And actually, if you do see one, it's funny because you're like, "There's one."
Yeah, but look, I mean,
but, you know, that's the funny side to it.
Look,
but it's like
we say that to, you know, amongst our own friends group. If that WhatsApp ever went public, that group, it would be chaos. I'm telling you, we'd be done. So there's all sorts of abuse on that group because we all group together.
Yeah, but so there's such a fine line, isn't there, between the banter side of it. No, we'll say shit because we're friends, right? Like we say stuff because, you know what I mean. And all jokes aside, like I have got 2 half Asian brothers. Like my dad married an Asian woman and had 2 brothers. Like I got kicked out of school for being racist at one point. It wasn't because I was racist, it's because I was fighting the Bengalis. Yeah. But then my dad actually took my brother. It was like, it sounds ridiculous, but he took my brothers to the school saying, "How the fuck is he racist?"
But look, we used to fight the Bengalis as well.
But that's that thing,
So
isn't
they
it?
probably
But it's all
deserved it,
because
to be honest.
that's the thing. They jumped on that for me because of that. Like, but ultimately, why the fuck does it matter about your colour of your skin? If I'm honest, I'm jealous of your colour of your skin because you look better. You know, I have to go and get a suntan to look like, you know.
But then you like go red and you put the,
Hey, I'm not ginger though.
no, but I
That's
mean,
the
like
gingers.
it comes all bits of skin coming off here, rotten flesh. I mean, we don't get any of that. No, but you see, like the reason I was saying that, because if there are any sort of Asians or anyone listening to this, is that, you know, everyone has gone through phases, and for all the bad, there's always some good with it. Now, I remember a guy, I mentioned his name, Jason Dooley. I haven't seen him for decades now. His dad, white guy, these ladders surrounded us. So we're only small.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say the same with Bob from Cottridge. Bob used to have a gym in Cottridge, God rest his soul. You know, we went to a gym, because in those days, even Asian guys going to gyms was a problem. Okay, you gotta really remember this.
As in just because outnumbered of
racism, yeah.
Yeah.
What the fucking pack he's doing here? Right. Now, Bob, we got surrounded by, so 1986, got surrounded by all these guys. Bob on the gym, he came out, he said, "You fucking leave these kids alone. Anyone gets to them." Never charged us membership for years. Right, in Cottridge, in Birmingham. Bob was a great guy, fantastic guy, you know, bless him. And there were always people like that. There were always people like this. So, you know, not everyone is bad, and this was a cultural, political sort of thing, but, you know, we grew out of it. We haven't forgotten, of course we haven't forgotten, and we've grown out of that, and it somehow made us the way we are, which I think has been positive.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think that those beatings and abuse and spitting, which sounds fucking weird now, right, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing.
It conditioned, it made you step up as such.
Well, the thing is also, you know, the first time you get smacked in the face, until you haven't been smacked,
You don't know what it's like,
yeah, you think you're going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to hemorrhage and I'm going to die. Or you think it's going to really hurt a lot.
Tooth's going to be gone forever or whatever.
But once you've been smacked a few times, it's actually not that bad. No, I know, I'm not going on that kinky, sadomasochism sort of thing, but it's not too bad. And then you get brave, and then you go to the gym, you do a bit of boxing, you learn, and then, you know, you think you're hard now. And when we watched Bruce Lee in those days, you know, I mean, I don't know if the kids, you know who Bruce Lee is. You know, Rocky 1, instrumental in our life.
Yeah.
Instrumental.
Watched it multiple times.
You have no idea.
Just prepping to go to the supermarket.
We all started fucking eating raw eggs after watching Rocky, running up the library stairs. Yeah. And I mean, these sort of things. And then, you know what you realise now, for example, I was at this event years ago when I was attempting to be a powerlifter, and I'd left my belt and my whole kit. And again, there was an Asian lad there. It was only me and him. He didn't give me his kit, and a white random geezer came up to me and, "Hey, I use my belt, use my chalk, use this, use that." So, you know, not everyone's bad. And again, because the Asian lad didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Right, and I remember years ago, which is another thing, I asked this guy what cycle he's doing, with an Asian guy, so me and him were going to be competing together. But we were mates. He goes, "I'm not going to tell you because we're going to be in the same fucking comp." And I thought, what a wanker.
It's not how it works, but yeah.
Yeah, but this is what I thought now, and I remember because I hadn't used anything then. I was very late, you know, using a cycle, and I remember this Irish guy came up to me once and he said, "Oh, what are you taking?" And we were knives of protein powder and creatine, and he was like, "No, fuck off! Like, what are you taking?" And he's like, "Honestly, that's what I'm doing," because again, gear wasn't accessible in those days.
Yeah.
So, you know, all of that thing, those ups and downs, really made us to the way we are. And I think, you know, it's been positive. I'd like to think that I contribute instead of, bearing grudges against everybody. That's what I'd like to think. Yeah, of course I bear grudges. Who doesn't?
No, of course.
And,
But you've also done so much work on people and health and all that sort of side of things.
Well, look, 25 years of it, man.
That's you, isn't
I've
it?
been to 8 war zones. Afghanistan, Iraq. I've, went to Syria, Baghdad. I've been to Bangladesh as well, even Cox's Bazar and Sylhet, on medical camps and things like this. And again, not forgive me if it comes this way, but we've seen dead bodies, we've seen people burned, picking things up, a lot of disability. I've seen a lot of we talked about this before, the drone attacks. I worked for an organisation, and we used to fit artificial limbs. We've seen all of this sort of stuff, and I'm a pussy like the next man. I'm not a hard man, but after 2 or 3 days, I swear to God, it doesn't bother you. It's so bad that the human mind is so bad that you just get used to seeing it. So people are coming to the hospitals, limbs missing, gangrene, cut up, brutal like in Iraq and Afghanistan and things like this. And they're just normal people, farmers. They're just normal people. But you'd say, right, he's still got half a leg, so let's leave him. The one who's got no leg, let's give him a limb.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
On how your mind adjusts to it. And after, sleeping in a container, living in a container, in like a compound, 4 months, 3 months, 2 months, whatever it was, you get so immune to all of this. And it's not for everybody.
It becomes the norm, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
No.
Maybe I am like traumatized somewhere, and I don't know. But it's not for everyone. It's a hard thing, but someone has to do it.
Yeah.
And if you believe that you're doing it for a greater good, it becomes a lot easier, I think. And again, I'm not being like noble or virtuous or anything like this. I mean, I got paid for it, but it's you see it. I mean, I remember 2005. It was November. It was around about 30 or 40 mixed bodies. You couldn't tell it was male or female, and the bulldozer was brought in. This hole was dug, and the bodies were put in there, and then the prayers were said for them.
Where was this?
This was in during the earthquake in Pakistan. 2005, like 100,000 people died. And at the high altitude places, literally a hole was dug and people were put in there. And then animals which had died, we'd set them on fire because of all the disease, etc., prevent the disease. And the first 2-3 days was absolutely shocking. An arm here, there. And after a while, I swear to God, it's fucking bizarre on how quick you get used to that. It really is.
How long did you do out there at that time, for example?
8 months.
8 months stint from...
Yeah, 8 months
Wow.
I did there, yeah.
How did you get that opportunity? How?
It wasn't a case of opportunity. I sort of volunteered for it.
Right.
So with a lot of these sort of projects, they don't pay you much. And you just go because it's a good course to do.
Yeah.
And also, as a Muslim before, it's like something which you feel you're doing again for a greater good.
Yeah.
It's a cause which is above you.
Yeah.
And it's not. Some of the jobs are very highly paid. Some of the jobs are fuck all. I mean, like £24 a week and food. I mean, some of the money's rubbish, but some of it is quite good. But
I mean, it probably sounds crazy to call it an opportunity, but I see it as an opportunity because actually, you're able to do something and put use.
Let me tell you
yourself,
something here. I had a patient. I've got a video which I'd show you, who'd been shot 7 times. Now we use testosterone and growth hormone on him. No rules, no regulation, no one supervising it, and it took 11 months, and this guy started walking.
Yeah.
Now, as karma works weirdly, he was the son of a minister, and it was an assassination on him. So he was quite powerful. So his dad, when he started walking or whatever, and going, his dad was like, also used Anavar, and his dad was like, okay, this is amazing. Everyone said he'd never walk again. What do you want? Literally, he said to me, what do you want? Now, I didn't know this guy from Adam when he came. And he was like, well, no, we're okay, don't really want anything. And then he built a hospital, which is still running to this day, and he funded, which something like 1,000 people a year get free treatment there.
Wow.
Now, it just started from that. So I did a lot of experiments in those days. And there was another guy called Professor Dodge who had a section in quite a few medical books he'd written. So we were using, different things. So I remember we were using Botox for spasms and things like this.
Yeah.
And so because you're in certain zones and you're exempt, you can do a lot of things. So like, we did a minor surgeries course, did certain things, emergency stuff, how to take a bullet out, how to do this, how to do all this sort of stuff, right? Which, like, from Birmingham, everyone's getting shot. It's a useful skill there. But these sort of things is, again, I mean, you've got a military background, it's like a different world, isn't it? And then when you come back home and you're watching Knight Rider or EastEnders or whatever, it's hard to relate to where you've just come from. It takes a while to adjust to that. And then people who you've been out with, we're still very good friends now because no one else can relate to what you saw.
No, that is one thing that I always say about the army. The friends you have always stay as you remember them for those times.
Yeah.
And
And also you remember the ones who bottled it and the ones who never.
Yeah.
You do remember that.
Yeah.
You remember the one who acted like a prick when he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
And then you've got this really close-knit people, but no one else can relate to the fact that you've been there and you've seen it. And then you do get those moments where sometimes you think about it. It is upsetting. I mean, orphans, it's not nice. People lost everything for no fault of their own. Whole families killed, things like this. And then imagine one of the things which I always felt, you got people standing in a queue for, say, food or something, and you run out of the ration packs and the last one doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And he fucking looks at you and you've got nothing to give him. And like, all you do, you just sort of, I'll be back in a minute, and you just walk off. I swear, it's a really bad one, that is, because he's looking, the packs are getting less, they're waiting. I mean,
am I going to make it? Am I not?
Yeah, it's, it's really bad. And it's
that
like,
moment of...
sorry, I'll be back in a minute. And then then it sends to your colleague, look, you go there, you sort him out. You don't want to face him.
Yeah.
And like, all of these sort of experiences, and they've all tallied up, to I suppose be the bum I am now. I don't know. It's all every little. To
the warrior you are now.
Well, I wouldn't, I'd like to think I'm not a pussy, but but it's that. It's been like a long, interesting journey, because if I was 18 and you'd said to me that I'd have earned what I've earned, or I've done what I've done, or whatever, I would have said, fuck off, mate. I remember my first pay packet in the NHS was £640, and it was a lot of money. It was a lot of money. You could live on that.
Not nowadays, Jesus.
No.
Can't get anything for that.
No, but you see, like, again, the beauty of age now, I'll be 54 this year, you've seen a lot now. And so you can look back. And when someone is being idiotic or stupid, you think, oh, fuck it. It's irrelevant now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And when they say that wisdom's wasted on the old, this is completely true, because the kids need that.
Yeah.
But you can reflect back, and you can see your journey and hardships, and in those dark moments, you can think, what, I come from, my dad worked in a factory. So again, you've got to look at that, the opportunity he had to educate us and then move us forward. These are all like quite fundamental changes in a life, aren't they?
No, I agree. And the qualities that you will always remember and move forward with.
You do, yeah.
As I do quite often. I forgot the present. So let's roll in with the present. I can't see it parked outside, but I've seen that there.
There you are. I bought you a Transform Now chocolate.
Thank you very much.
So
I did see it earlier on.
Yeah, this was an event we did.
Yeah.
And this is quite funny now. It's actually not a joke, but it is funny. A lot of these kids had autism, and they're on a spectrum. So we've got some monster cans with labels on.
I remember seeing one in your office. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
So we gave them to these kids, and they were hyper. They were running around crazy, uncontrollable. But at the time, we thought this was like quite a good idea. And then
so giving an autistic kid
Red Bull, Monsters,
chocolate,
and they were running around like chaos. And this is the last one we've got, and I'm giving you that.
Is it officially the last one?
This is the official last one, and I'm also going to give you a present of the most advanced, and I'm not just talking shit here because everybody will say it, but the most advanced epigenetic sports performance data kit. It's not the usual. There's individual markers which we looked at, and on those on-off switches I talked about earlier on, inflammatory markers. It's no one does it in the world, and I'm going to gift you that. I've just bought the case because it's going live in 10 days.
Yeah.
Right, so I can't, but I promise live on air that I'm going to give you this kit. It's extremely expensive, right? But the data, you'll get thousands of pages of data for yourself. It's
shit.
I mean, we only do this for the super VIPs, and obviously you're a super VIP. But
appreciate you saying that.
And again, just to get the clarity of it, and also get a bit of advertising, that particular kit sells in Harley Street for 10 grand. It doesn't cost 10 grand.
No, yeah. But that's its value.
That's what it sells for, and I'm going to gift you one of those.
Well, I am a bit shocked on that side. I just thought it was that. I appreciate.
Don't cry now. Don't get emotional now.
I told you I was going to get you to cry.
No, I'm that sort of pussy, mate.
To be fair, I was laughing at the chocolate, but now you've made me feel a bit like, oh man.
And that,
I really appreciate
those.
that. Wow.
The 11 people who've done those tests so far, and believe it or not, 3 are billionaires. And the other people are all worth like a good few hundred million.
So this is going to, so it's going to get me loads, is it going to make me loads of money then?
Yeah, apparently we'll find out if you've got the gene for money or not.
No, mate, honestly, I'm like
because with some of the new testing now, we can tell if you're going to get Alzheimer's or not.
Yeah.
But this is not, it's based on a logarithm, but it's also based upon lifestyle. So you can also tell. So Chris Helmsworth had that test done.
Yeah.
But we can also now, we know through the epigenetic data, what interventions can reduce your chances. So taking vasodilators, arginine or citrulline malate, or different vitamins or different things, what can actually reduce the chances. So I've seen a guy who was 8 times more likely to have it, and after 6 months of putting in interventions, he's twice as likely to have it now.
Wow.
So these are actual real data. This is.
So how many people have you actually put through this?
Oh, myself and other people, we've put in probably about 10,000. Wow. But we have data for over 2 million people.
And how's this done?
This is done through saliva, and in some cases through blood as well. It's to do with the different markers and the assays on how in depth. But if we pick, for example, let's just give an example. Like one of the things we're launching now is before somebody has kids, we can tell if they're going to have a disabled child or not. Now, This is not being godlike or anything like this, and we have been criticised for being trying to be godlike. But some conditions are extremely serious, and if anyone's lost a child, etc., the trauma of it is severe. And in some conditions, there is, like for example, the NHS will test for Down syndrome, spina bifida, etc. We're testing for 1,597 quite nasty genes. Now, some of those genes may express, others they're not. They're called consignal genes, and it'll tell us what condition that child could potentially have as a pretty accurate thing. We can never say 100% for legal reasons, but
no, of course.
Thing.
But it's.
But also in the severity of that. So some of them might be very minor. So there's one particular disease. Kids are tired, fatigued. By the time the NHS gets around to it, anybody figures out they could be in their 20s. Simply by taking alpha-lipoic acid and magnesium, they will never have a symptom.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So that kid will suffer for years and years and years, but they'll never have a symptom.
Yeah.
Right, so we're putting this in the Middle East first and other places first. But it's fucking amazing what we can find out now. I mean, it's just... It's a new world now. So the new currency will be data.
Yeah. Do you think this will be the thing in the future? It has to be, right?
100%.
Because it's so powerful.
No, it's not. It will be 1,000,000%. It is. It is. This is going to be children will be born. I think it's already actually been done in the UK because a law was passed during COVID 2022 that genetic samples will be taken on children without parental consent. I know in Scandinavia, etc., the governments have said, they've promised, which whenever a government promises it's going to lie, that we are not going to give this data to insurance companies, which is absolute shit. So in the future, this is a fact. It's not a conspiracy theory or anything like this. Your life insurance, etc., your health will be based upon your DNA data.
Yeah,
It's as simple as that.
I guess it's a way of them actually getting the truth, isn't it, as well? Like getting the full understanding.
You see, look, on a commercial way, the big boys are out there to make money and screw the small guys. So if they can make any way to make to make more money from, this is what they'll do.
Yeah.
But the dark side of that could be, you may not be eligible for certain jobs, for example. And it's the.
Does that not like fall into the whole control side?
Yeah,
of things,
absolutely.
Though?
Yeah,
That's the scary part, isn't it? Like,
look, the governments will always promise we don't do this, but we know they do. I mean, they'll always promise that we don't do this. And
'cause obviously they're only showing that it's positive for this reason, but actually the control part is the behind the scene bit.
Look, if you look at Jane's Defence magazine, they had an article in 2002 which they called a super physiological soldier. And believe it or not, it was a trained soldier. This is not a lie. So a soldier would be given certain drugs, painkillers, nerve relaxants, and psychotic drugs. So they did it as a theoretical paper. So you'd have this soldier who'd be bigger, stronger, faster, and not have a moral liability. That was the word they used. So whenever they theoretically talk about things, it means that they're doing it some way or another. Every theoretical paper or a white paper or a research paper, there's a consequence of it somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Of course there is.
Yeah.
So when they talk about these things, it means they've been thinking about these for 25, 30 years ago. We had Cyborg and Universal Soldier 25 years ago, whatever, in the movies. Yeah. Which means that, they're not the only guys who have thought of it. So there's all sorts of things happening in dark labs in all sorts of places around the world. I think it'd be extremely naive to think that doesn't happen. But with epigenetics and data, the positive side of it would be, for example, we can tell you now, I could tell you now as to what your genetic risk is to a heart attack, to a stroke, to arthritis, to back pain, to kidney problems, etc. So you can make interventions now.
But then is there spin-offs to understand how to reduce that?
Yes, absolutely, yeah.
Because that's what people want to know.
From your actual epigenetic, because your DNA doesn't change, your epigenetic changes.
Yeah.
And it's like I, for example, I smoke, so I'm at higher risk of a heart attack. I'm also above 6'5", which puts me at another higher risk of a heart attack. I also have been a big guy, slightly enlarged left ventricle training all those years. These are all higher risks. Now, of course, common sense is don't smoke and you reduce the risk. But we do know, for example, is through the tests, people take 2 grams or 3 grams of omega oils. I take 25. There's other certain things you take to reduce that risk. So when you do the epigenetics a second time, it'll give you a score of how those risk factors have been mitigated or reduced. Now, some things you can't reduce, some you can. And this is how the whole thing will work. I mean, it's pretty cool stuff. I mean,
this could even come down to the simple lifestyle stuff as well, can't it?
But I mean, the interesting thing is the data we have is based upon people's lifestyle as well, height, weight. It's quite a detailed form. So all those questions will go in. They'll be matched off with other people, the same thing. Yeah. So, for example, there's tests available now to see what psychiatric drug or anxiety or depression that actually works for you or not. So you could be taking drug A for years and you still feel shit because it's the wrong drug for you.
Yeah.
But this drug can be done. Now, whether they'll implement this within the health system, I don't think so. It'll be more like private enterprise pushes science as such. That would be done. And research, no one gives you money for research or pays for it if they don't expect to make some money back.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the reality of it.
Is that one of the reasons why you think NHS wouldn't buy into it, or is it because the
NHS is on a close down as such? It's ceasing. It's like on the verge of stock trading, if you like. So they don't want to make big investments.
Do you think everything should be private? Because it makes me wonder sometimes.
I think. Look, the thing is, it's like this. It's time to afford it. Look, there's a lot of people who've been on a relatively low income their whole life. They'll never be able to do it. And, look, like care workers, we need them. 11, 12 pounds an hour. There's lots of people looking after the elderly, Meals on Wheels, all this sort of stuff. They'll never have the resources to pay for a surgery. So, the National Health Service is fantastic. It should be there. What I do think is that, similar to what they call the Bismarckian model in Germany, Austria, etc., you shouldn't be getting like paracetamol free or vitamin D. You shouldn't fucking be buying that. You shouldn't be, if you miss your appointment, you should pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so there's that discipline sort of side.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I worked in the NHS, I mean, it's many years ago now, but the amount of missed appointments, people just take the NHS for granted. And the NHS is like a government in itself. It's huge. It's a massive bureaucracy running, I think I read somewhere 37 different networks are running, systems are running. It's huge. If you, one of my beats, if you've gone to Turkey and had your teeth done and they're fucked up, you should pay for it yourself. Why should the NHS pay for it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
If you want a tattoo removal or you want a BBM or whatever, the NHS, it's not the NHS's job to do that. And I think which is a political point, whoever says something will be seen as a wanker. So but someone has to say, you know what, enough's enough. If you're going to the hospital, for example, pay for your own food or do this or that. This is not unreasonable. I mean, if you look at something like 15% of all beds are occupied by people who can't go home because they've got no one to look after them.
Yeah.
You see, so that is a vulnerable section of society, and it's probably going to get more and more as time goes on.
Yeah.
And, you can't just abandon them and leave them. But as a general thing, I think the more insurance companies should be regulated. They can't just carry on robbing people by charging more and more premiums. There needs better regulation. But like everything in this country, to a certain degree, it appears to be falling apart. But it's no different to the rest of Europe or no difference to America. Everywhere's the same.
It's just because we have the NHS to blame, so people blame them, don't they?
And the NHS system, let's be honest, it's absolutely fantastic.
It is. I don't know if you've seen that one I did the other day about is it Wegovy drug that's come out. Don't say anything yet. I want to ask you your opinion on it in a minute. But I did a video about that the other day, and people are like, "Oh yeah, but it's this, it's that, it's the other." It's not about the problem that I see with the NHS. Is the NHS are amazing. They've saved my mum's life. They did my daughter's eye that you seen the other day. Do you know what I mean? It's all these things they do. They're amazing. They're absolutely amazing. Yeah. But then there's certain things, like any business, like any whatever establishment. There's certain things that they do that I believe are weak in the mindset of people, and that's where I see the problem to be.
Look, if you look at, for example, now, Ozempic.
Yeah.
Right. It was selling on the black market for £1,000 for a 1mg pen. This is how high it had gone. Now, so it's essentially an appetite suppressant.
Yeah.
So you're telling obese people that don't change your lifestyle as such. Take this, the easy way out.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of this fucking easy way out and everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's this, right, instead of some nutritional counselling or some, like in Denmark, I worked there for a while, and they get these kids, if you're obese, fat, the mum and dad, they get taken shopping to show them how to do certain shopping. Now, you'd think this is common sense. But they say, right, this food is crap, this is crap, this is crap, and there's all these different things. In Germany, you can't have a surgery if you're obese. You've got to drop your BMI. You can't have a particular surgery. Realistically, the chance of success drops, and you have to make a contribution to it.
That's in the UK as well, though, isn't it? You hear people losing weight to have surgery.
Yeah, it depends, but a lot of surgeries.
Was that more of a health thing rather than
not bother? So the premise should be. Take COVID is another great example. They could have said at the start, take quercetin, take vitamin C, take zinc, drink fluids, do this, do this, do this. No, straight to the vaccine. Okay, we don't.
Yeah, don't worry about being healthy, living a healthy lifestyle
right.
daily. Yeah. Just take this.
Yeah, so we have the thing now. If you look at mental health and the whole counselling industry, it is an industry. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I agree.
And so if you go to the doctor, say, I feel a bit down, I feel a bit this, he'll give you a mild antidepressant. When you go the second time, the third time, it gets slightly stronger. The fourth, fifth, sixth time, at this stage now, you can claim PPI, you can claim benefits. If you're not well, they'll put you to a psychiatrist. You might be started on one tablet, 3 years later you're on 10 different tablets. The whole thing, in my view, and it's just my opinion, and they fuck off, right, you're wrong, but the industry is self-serving. You're a counsellor, you need to give counsel. This whole concept of, lifelong counselling and life coaching, and we hear this. I need accountability. I need to tell some stranger.
Just to get it straight. When you say life coach, is that them like 15, 16-year-old lads on Instagram that claim to? Is that them ones?
The plastic.
What do you mean? The guys that have had a real life and actually got reasons to talk about
I
their
fucking
life?
hate this Aldi version of Andrew Tate's. I can't stand them. It's like a budget version of Andrew Tate.
From Wish.
Yeah. And I thought, fucking hell, man. It's like, you're 17, talking about relationships. You've never had one. All you've been doing is fucking masturbating, you cunts. You've never even had a woman, or a guy.
Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to clear that one up.
No, but you see, like, because it's all becoming, like, again, I mean, people can disagree or whatever. I mean, I'm too old to even care now. But, this, someone else has to account for my action. It's like, some people, of course, there's people on a severe spectrum of autism and sort of mental health issues. But a lot of people behave badly, then they think to themselves, all right, my excuse is
this.
Because, I didn't take my Ritalin today or whatever.
Yeah.
It's absolutely rubbish, or I didn't take Elvance. It's absolute crap. Being on a spectrum or autistic or anything like this, it's not an excuse for bad behaviour.
It's an understanding of who you are.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like obviously, I went through the ADHD stuff. Like, it hit me harder than I thought it was gonna.
Yeah.
That's because I'm 33 years old. Like, to hear that at the age of 33, it's never going to be easy, is it? Because you then reflect on all the years. But it doesn't mean I can be a dick.
No, you can't, because you can't get away with it anymore.
But for me, it's an understanding, isn't it? Of this is the type of person you're on. These are the reasons why. But then you still have to put the hard work into to adapt.
Look, ultimately, you've got to look. If you're, and remember that the spectrum is huge from minor to high, and it's also very controversial. You could have an adult assessment done. There was a recent article in the BBC. They went to 4 clinics. The same patient went to the 4 clinics, and
different diagnosis.
Different diagnosis.
Yeah.
It's a very hard diagnosis. And then the question is, even if you have been given a diagnosis of adult ADHD, and then what?
Yeah.
Right. If you're not sort of eligible for the medicine, then what? Now, a lot of people will use it for their advantage, give them the drive, the focus, etc. I mean, it can be used. Now, they are, again, the scale is huge, but I mean, the brothers, the strongman brothers, didn't make any difference to them. Look how strong they are.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of businessmen, other people, academics, researchers, sportsmen. I mean, there's a guy I know who does like a 20-hour day every day. I mean, very clever, extremely successful, but he uses all the energy to focus in what he does. So it's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, of course.
And
it's how you use it.
Yeah, it's how you use every talent or skill or negativity you've got. I mean, it's how you use it. You can either mope about it, you can do something about it. I mean, I'm not, I'm from that generation. I'm not buying it. It might not be politically correct. I'm just not having it, mate. I know, people slag you down for it and things like this. It's just fucking shit. I'm not having it.
Ultimately, it's all about what your end product is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's got a story of how they got there, but did you get there? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, for the people who didn't make it in their eyes, or they've slipped off and they've fell off the wagon, all these different things you hear, well, that's fine, but everyone does that.
Yeah.
And no one needs to know that story, do they? They want to know the end story.
No one has a gradient like this, do they?
No.
Yeah. So, if you want to win a title and you don't train for it, you're not going to win it, are you?
No, yeah.
If you're going to be like me and have Red Bull and chocolate in the morning and a pack of crisps, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, these sort of things, it's very easy in today's world to blame someone else. This is Dean's fault. I didn't win, it's Dean's fault. It's his fault. It's that guy's fault. It's the school's fault. It's the teacher's fault. It's society. It's capitalism.
How about it was your fault because you're you and you took action?
Yeah.
Or didn't take action.
Yeah, it's a capitalist system. Yeah, what are you going to do about it? It's sort of all of this blame everybody else for this. Yeah, of course, for the kids now, youngsters, to buy a property, it's going to be extremely hard. There's lots of things that will be extremely hard for them. Their salaries aren't going up with inflation. There's all of these factors. I think it's probably the hardest time ever. I read a figure somewhere like it was 70 salaries in the 70s to buy a house, but it's like 3,000 or something now. So
what is in the equation?
Like in the equation, yeah. Now,
wow.
So it's that is very difficult.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's a lot more opportunities around which weren't around before. So everything balances off, and regardless of what situation you're in, you still have to try to make it better. And then leave the rest of the Almighty. You've still got to work harder to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Stop trying to think that things fall into your lap and actually work hard to make them happen.
I'm sure there's people in the world where things fall in their lap. I'm sure there is.
Yeah, of course.
But they're not, I haven't met anyone like this.
No. But not only that as well, I'll stand and say, like, or sit and say, these people, they never learn anything.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know people that I went to school with that got given everything by the parents, and I got given nothing by my parents.
Yeah.
It's not because they didn't want to give it me; it's because they didn't have it.
Yeah.
But actually, a lot of people that sort of say to me, "Why are you so relentless? And why do you always push forward? And why?" Do you know what I mean? You know what? I don't know the answer. Yeah. But I know one thing is that I've worked for everything that I've got, and it continues that momentum, doesn't it, for you?
Well, I was talking to he's one of the most senior endocrinologists and neurosurgeons in the country. He grew up in a place called Faisalabad in Pakistan. 5 brothers, and his mum had passed away, and his dad would work and leave them behind. And he said they couldn't afford. So what they would do, like Monday, one brother would drink milk, Tuesday the other one would. Wednesday, that's how they grew up.
Yeah.
All 5 are surgeons. And I mean, what a credit to their father to bring them up.
Right, yeah.
And they grew up in abject poverty. They're all 5 in the UK, and they're all way top of their game. Now, I mean, that's a diversity.
Do you think that's just like that mental resilience as you're growing up?
Yeah, because their dad put into them, listen, the only opportunity you've got is education, do well to take yourself out of this thing. I can only earn what I can earn for you. So very limited chances in Pakistan, I mean, as in progression. But he put that into them. The kids then took it further. They all managed to get scholarships. They all did this, they all did that. All through with, on paper they had no chance. But this is what they did. And this guy...
So what's the difference then between, let's just say, a brother and a sister, or 2 brothers or 2 sisters? They have the same opportunity, same everything. One does amazing, one sucks. Do you know what I'm saying? What is the difference there?
Sometimes I think, you have to look at luck sometimes. Sometimes luck just walks in.
Yeah.
And that can't be, there's nothing you can do about that. I think a lot of it is sometimes just attitude, and you get that sibling rivalry, and there are different factors to it. I mean, I've seen guys who I know, some of our clients and friends and whatever, they've grown up with nothing, and they've done extremely well, really well. And they're good people. They're not just cons, they're actually good people, and they give back as well. And then you've seen people, we've known people now, who had given a lot and they lost it all. So I think a lot of it, it has to come, for me, in my opinion, is that your mindset, your philosophy, your attitude, and it's like everything is a bridge. You've got to cross that bridge. So if you look at hypnotherapy, if we sort of put someone under, we talk about gates opening and crossing bridges, and one bridge at a time, and imagine a beautiful field with different bridges you've got to come across, and that's how to think. The whole of life is up and down. You can go from a hero to zero. I mean, look at your famous spasm.
Yeah. Fucking went viral, didn't it?
Yeah. We didn't take long, did it? I mean, one second you're there, next minute you're riding on the floor.
Yeah.
So and that's how quick life can change.
Yeah.
That's how quick life can change.
Yeah.
It's so but what could you do? You could have bitched about it on the floor and still be bitching about it now.
Yeah.
Next time, maybe take some, make some intervention so that doesn't minimise the chance of it, and you carry on, don't you? This is with everybody. You get massive setbacks.
Yeah, no, it's true. And also, when you look at things like that, there's so many things in life that can, I just call them noise, because it's just noise, isn't it? Like, there's so many noises that can attract you that direction, but actually you got to remember the way you're going, and you got to continue your path regardless.
Yeah, I mean, look, there is, for me, and I'll say this to my kids as well, there's only one path, right? All this stuff about you have options and develop yourself and, enjoy yourself, and they say, no, it doesn't work that way. You've got to cross that bridge. However you cross it doesn't matter. Do it legally, without fucking anyone over, and go across it. Right? Because otherwise you'll sit on the side and everybody else will go across it. No one's going to, unfortunately...
No one's going to hold your hand and walk with you.
Not anymore. No one's going to carry you across that bridge. If you're lucky enough to find that, that's a blessing for you.
I always say this thing, and a lot of people say I'm wrong for saying it, but I'll still continue saying it because I'm right in my eyes. But nobody cares. Do you know when you get... The thing is, when people hear me say this, right, when I say that nobody cares, people think they mean actually nobody cares. And like, oh yeah, well, my missus cares, my dog cares, my blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. People are just talking shit. My point is, what I'm trying to say is that when it comes down to that actual fine straw, everybody thinks about themselves.
Look,
and the reason I say that is so that you don't ever become reliant on other people. It's not because I mean nobody actually cares. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's the fact that if you become reliant on other people, then you'll always think that someone will help you.
Mate, I'll tell you this:
over the bridge.
I worked with disability, MS, strokes for a long time. I've had partners say to me, "I would leave my husband or my wife or girlfriend or boyfriend if it wasn't for what people would think." Because it's too intense looking after them. 1,000 times I've been told this. Okay, and when I had my the back surgeries, and one of the surgery went wrong, so I've got partial paralysis in my leg and things like this. How long will somebody look after you? Who's going to even carry me going to the bathroom or something? Think about it. I mean, it can happen to anyone. Disease can happen, and I really hope it doesn't happen to anybody. But the fact is, 15 months on crutches, not being able to walk properly, and I went up to squat 300 as well after that. Right, not massive, but
That's not massive, no.
nah, but it's not. Look what everyone's doing nowadays. Fucking got kids deadlifting.
You can't compare yourself to other people, though.
Yeah, but when I see these kids deadlifting now, I think, fuck, what the hell's going on? But you've got to. Again, my only advice to people: you've got to battle your way through it. There'll always be good people along that journey as well who will help you. If they see you're trying to move forward, they will help you. But just by sitting on the side of the road and sitting there crying about it, and I'm going to be bold enough to say it's not the man's way. I'm sorry, but it isn't.
It's true. It's
true.
true.
You've got to do it. I mean, you've got family and kids. It's not about you anymore. It's about putting really putting them forward.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to do, and that's why you've got to do what you've got to do.
Yeah. But that's that thing, isn't it? What you said earlier, like. A lot of the time that's looked at as wrong to say that now, isn't it? But ultimately it boils down to that in the end.
Yeah, but see, we're Pakistani, we can still say it. Because we can say it's part of our culture, we can still get away with it, so for the time being anyway.
Yeah.
But, like those old school, like my dad and these old school guys, do you think they took any shit? They grafted, I swear they grafted, that generation did.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 days a week, holidays working. I mean, there was no holidays.
They used to be sleeping, half of them would sleep during the day.
Well, look, if you read about the 70s, 60s, they'd be renting a house out. One shift would go, another shift would come.
Yeah.
That's how they grafted and they worked. And look at any shopkeeper. Look at the hours he's knocking out.
Yeah.
Right. So I can say that as I'm gonna do the race card now. As a minority, as part of my culture, I can say man up, be a man about stuff, and do what you've got to do
to get to your finish line.
To get to where you need to be or where you want to be.
Yeah.
Look, if you're happy earning £200 a week, and that's great.
Yeah.
But if you want more, then you're going to work harder for it and get it. And if you want a nice car and you want nice little things and all of that.
Rather than having that mentality of what can I do to get there, it's like work fucking harder.
Yeah, work harder.
Don't think what can you get given to you to get there.
Yeah.
Just work harder.
And I have a client, extremely wealthy. 2 of his kids work at Wix. He won't give them money. He says, "No, you got to earn your money.
Yeah, fucking right.
You'll inherit it when I die.
Yeah.
If you're good.
Yeah.
If you follow the script. If you don't, then fuck off," which is completely right.
Yeah. No, it is. And that's very good in this day and age to still stick by that.
Yeah. And there's nothing. There's no shame in working. There's no shame in working. There's no shame in grafting. There's nothing wrong with it. But ego, delusional stuff that you think you're better than you are, or I should be doing this, I should be doing that.
The world owes.
Everyone's. I mean, I've done door work, and how shit door work is. Uni, like fucking crap door work is, isn't it?
Yeah, very short time.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? It's a horrible job. I rate the guys who do it. It's a horrible. The amount of abuse you have to put up with.
But again, now it's a lot different from what it was years ago. Years ago, a man on a door was a hard man, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's like it's anybody. Yeah, but again, I know this has opened a whole new can of worms, but that's that whole PC side of things, isn't it? Trying to give the jobs to anybody rather than saying you need to be this. It's like policemen years ago used to have to be 6 foot, was it?
Yeah, 6 foot, they're big, yeah.
Do you know, but it's true though, isn't it? And you know what? Part of me thinks that should still be a thing.
Do you know what it is?
It's tough. You know what? There's a little Indian woman that's in Loughborough, yeah? and I'm not joking, she's so small, and it actually worries me to
So
think,
I've
somebody,
seen
what's she going to do?
I've seen a Pakistani woman, firewoman. I'm going to get firewoman. What are
Fire
they called?
service. Yeah.
Fire service.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if my house was on fire, my mum's on rooms, I would not want her.
No, she's not going to get anyone out.
She can't even climb the ladder.
Yeah,
You know, they're not built for that,
yeah.
right? There's no need for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, I'll get flack from the Pakistani community. It's just complete shit, right? You're not designed to be a firewoman, love. It's not for you. I don't care what you say. You know, I want a 6'5" geezer up that ladder, take my mum or my dad out. That's what I want.
No, it's true, it's true.
Right.
Do you know what? We have to...
Dude, shit is the fan. That's when they want the masculine people to come in.
Yeah,
But it's true, and so it should be, right? But it's a little bit like, would you go to a fat personal trainer and go, get me shredded? You just wouldn't do
But
it.
then why are they saying the opposite? It's just stupid.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, but I think the resistance is, and I sound like a real conspiracist now, there is resistance growing now to this rubbish. And it is, you know, if you look at, there's like people like Peterson, again, like him or not like him, there's a lot of people now out there who are defending the basic right to be, look, you know, because I'm a man, I believe in these values, doesn't make me toxic. You will not, I mean, I even hate this word alpha, this alpha man, I don't like this word at all, right? And, but let's say theoretically this alpha guy, you know, if you look at fighters, guys who can fight, they're never bullies. They are never bullies. They don't need to be a bully.
Controlled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll use that aggression when they have to, but they will not be bullies. You know, guys who are, for the better term, alpha, they don't bully people. They don't rape women. They don't do this. They don't hit women. They don't do any of this sort of stuff. Right. So all of this has to, again, you know, like look at the classic bully. The classic bully. Right. Once you put it on him, crumbled. He's not a bully.
Yeah.
Everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
And so all of this stuff, you know, it's a strange place now. You know, we'll still, you know, us as in Asians and Muslims, we'll get away with it. But we'll say, oh, it's not part of our religion, not part of our culture, and everyone will say, okay.
what can you say?
Yeah.
Which is true. What you're going to say? You're going to say that my book is wrong.
Yeah.
Now
Now you question the fucking lot.
there. But we're going to say it's you lot. This is your problem. So if you look at a lot of this thing they're trying to put in, we've sort of got the exemption card, mate. Doesn't apply to us. Don't believe in it.
Yeah. But it is true though, isn't it? It's that one thing that's like...
No, but because we don't believe in it, and that's it. We don't. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. A man's a man. A woman's a woman.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm with you, don't worry.
Yeah.
Trust
Right.
me, we're not disagreeing
Yeah.
on this.
You're not that.
but you know,
I'll
you'll,
join the dark side.
yeah, you'll get a lot of flack over it. You know, we can still get away with it. We're not doing it.
So obviously, one of the big things that not a lot of people like to talk about is the PD side of things, the drugs that are used within bodybuilding, strongman, all sports, whether they should use them or shouldn't use them, because obviously we know that people use them when they shouldn't. But what's your... I know this could obviously go quite deep with it, but what's your overall riding sort of like thing that you focus on for people? Because I mean, obviously,
Look,
it's
I
about
think
longevity,
if
isn't
we
it?
if we looked at a utopian world, then nobody would take anything.
Yeah,
Okay, unless there's a medical reason for it.
yeah,
But we don't live in that world.
yeah.
People
Push boundaries and
People
yeah.
push boundaries. The people who climbed Mount Everest or went across the Amazon, they all push boundaries. You know, if you look at the figures today in the lifts, compare them over the last the trajectory of the figures have gone like this, haven't they? Of the lifts, going back to say Jeff Capes had a 300 kg dead, right? Today it'd be laughed at, wouldn't it?
16-year-old guys have got that. Yeah.
Be laughed at. So I'm not going to say that what I did, but because they'd be laughed at as well. But now, so something to do to performance drugs, better nutrition, etc., better coaching. There's more money in the game. There's more people doing it. So there are lots of different factors. So the thing which worries me is, for example, what they call the Love Island syndrome. There are people who are not ever going to compete, and they want it to look good. So the first thing now, the drugs are so easily accessible. I mean, you can get them anywhere. So people are taking them for all this knowledge and harm reduction. We want to call it whatever you want to call it. There's still more people getting ill and dying than there ever have been. Okay, so that's a fact. I mean, I've got all the data, I've got the figures. I'm not even going to debate about that, to be honest. But there's benefit to them, and there's disadvantage to them. And for some people, they can be quite tragic and life-threatening diseases. The sort of point, if you like, is that you should be able to do what you want to do. If you want to take them, take them. That's, some people will never listen. They'll take massive doses, thinking the more I take, the better I'll be. Other people just are not going to be, big fucking benchers or big squatters. They're not going to be super strong. They just won't be.
So take what you want. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. And, that's just the way it is. I mean, that's just the way the cards were dealt. When I was younger, I actually believed for about a week that I'd be world champion one day. And then the reality gave me a fucking slap and said, "You're shit, mate." But that's the thing. So luckily it dawned on me.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter how much. So what worries me? So when you look at the evolution of sport or the progression. So I'm gonna do a plug for the Enhanced Games here. So next year, the first ever, in parallel to the Olympics, is happening, called the Enhanced Games, and we've been lucky enough, and myself and our team, we've taken on to provide the health, safety mechanism in that, and to keep because it's a very controversial. There'll be no drug testing. You can take what you want and compete. Track and field, weights, combat sports, gymnastics.
Where is this being held?
This is to be decided, but if you go to enhancedgames.org, it's happening. Really interesting dynamic this is, because it's not just the PEDs, AI, those things you wear on your head, virtual reality.
Yeah.
So imagine if you've got some spectacles which has got a camera,
Goggles, yeah.
which is like 40 times better than your eyesight for archery or shooting.
Yeah.
So there's a whole different spectrum in this. Essentially, it's no one's encouraging anyone to take drugs, but everyone's an adult, and it's similar to like any movement. But this is going to be a complete game changer. Now, when we look at, for example, the greats, which we remember, Alan Wells, the 100-meter sprinter, the last white guy who went to win the Olympics, admitted to taking something. Daley Thompson, Fatma Whitbread, all of the dirtiest race in history, the 88, when Ben Johnson got caught positive. Carl Lewis was also positive at that race, which everybody seems to forget. But he was forgiven.
But all the limelight was on.
Well, he was a golden boy, American golden boy.
Yeah.
So he was forgiven. Now, so if you then have a platform, take what you want, you have to meet this health criteria.
Yeah, as in, so
your heart ejection can't be below this.
Yeah.
Your liver can't be above this. Your blood pressure can't be above this. If you set in rules which are done through medical doctors, and done through a platform of health with some of the best, doctors in the world, endocrinologists, kidney specialists, urologists, nephrologists, all of this sort of stuff is done. You can make it as safe as you can possibly make it, even down to very specific genetic risk DNA testing. Then we'll see what happens, because if these athletes, for example, still don't perform as well as the Olympics, what do we say then? Now, there's some evidence. I'm not going to say the guy's name because he's going to fucking sue me, I know for a fact. But it's estimated by some very serious research, and within the Olympics, someone who is very, very senior in the organisation, that 45% of athletes are taking something. It's just the unlucky ones who get caught. And then some of the new drug testing, like the famous metabolite M, and some of the new drug testing techniques are very smart, they're very clever. And then you had when they brought out a new type of test, lots of athletes retired that year. So, and it's a bit of coincidence, a whole batch of people retire. So, is anything clean? I mean, let's take another example. Somebody has a running shoe biomechanically designed for him because he's got the money to do it, and a runner from Ethiopia is running in the desert. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Is even the premise of sport fair? Me and you are different heights.
Yeah.
Right? So somebody has more ankle flexion, their biomechanics are different, has a higher calf, a lower calf, has a longer arm, a shorter arm. If you were to make an absolutely fair game, everyone should be the same height, same weight, they should be identical.
Same ratios and everything, yeah.
So, is sport ever fair? Is it ever going to be fair? No, it's not. Fiji's game with Australia the other day, I mean, first time in 20 years Fiji beat them.
I don't know.
Rugby.
Right.
right? Amazing game. So is anything ever fair anyway? Is sport, there's an argument, is sports fair, full stop? So with the progression now, obviously with the human enhancements and technology and drugs, you will get super athletes, there's no doubt about it. Now the positive side, if you want to be negative and say, oh, you're telling people to take drugs and to win and they're cheaters, well, fucking...
They're doing it anyway. Like
yeah,
it's happening.
if there's 50 guys competing and you're the only one who's not taking them, then you're a dickhead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Then change sport. Go to basketball or table tennis or whatever. It's not for you. But what's really interesting, because all that health data and data for these people, blood tests, scans, data, etc., will be used for longevity and for the benefit of people's health.
Yeah.
So this is where this data, again, I mean, all I've been talking about data, it's very, very important, because from there, for example, and when there's money involved in research and there's a financial gain, money becomes available. It's like a circle. So some of the findings there will be used for longevity, will be used to how to prevent arthritis and diseases and things like this. Because for the first time, you've got... I'm going to switch here. This is where my ADHD kicks in. I'm going to switch totally different. For example, research shows that Olympians die quicker than people who never trained. So fit people die quicker than unfit people.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
So all the people training, lean, looking good, healthy diet, they'll actually die quicker than the guy eating his pork sandwiches or pork sausages, watching Pornhub.
Yeah.
Right? The fit guys will... Isn't that bizarre now? Now, a lot of this is due to the extreme limit of exercise they've done and the scarring to the
It's
heart.
how much they do of that.
And those 100-meter runs, etc., and all this sort of physical stress they put on there. But all of this information, technically, will be better for humans and for longevity. The critical side of that will be, will the average Joe benefit from that? But that, time will tell on that.
Yeah.
So these
But as
games...
well, with the enhanced games,
Yeah.
something I can't help but think, like, so the people that are in the enhanced games are being tested more
extensively.
than anybody in the...
I'll tell you this, the protocol...
So surely they're in a better position to know.
The protocol, I'll show you privately the protocol. If you crush your heart and hope to die, not to tell anyone.
Yeah, we'll put it on the screen.
Yeah, I'll show you this protocol. It is the safest protocol ever made. I will stake on everything I own. It's the safest protocol ever made. And a hell of a lot of experts, smarter people than me, have contributed. It's a fucking phenomenal protocol. It's never been done to that level ever in sports history. Boxers are not analysed this much. MMA guys, this is how advanced this is. Some of the markers involved, people haven't even heard these markers on this tests and diagnostics involved, and even the genetic data. So everything has been minimalised, and this is why there'll be insurance. You've got to remember, you'd think who would insure this event? If it wasn't safe, the insurers wouldn't insure it.
Yeah.
But
because there's so much data, they can't deny it, can they?
But the athletes will be paid.
Yeah.
They'll actually be...
Where do the athletes come from for this?
Everywhere.
Just
All around the world. So if you're a 100-metre runner, let's do it.
Right. But then obviously they can't do the Olympics after they've done this.
This is the thing, isn't it? Because will they get banned? Because they're not drug tested. Now, technically, again, there's lots of technical arguments here. It can be seen as the Olympics is this big mafia. There's a lot of money goes towards drug. It's a self-serving industry. So, and I do work for UK Doping, so that's my contract gone there. But, it's a self-serving body. Okay. So, and they have this godlike power. How many times are they wrong? It's intrinsically corrupt, the whole drug testing mechanism is. More American athletes were tested positive than Russian athletes, yet America and the IOC wanted Russia to be boycotted from the Olympics.
Yeah.
Okay, so then are you just unlucky you get caught? And everyone else is cheating as well. And then the argument of what's even cheating. So, for example, even within normal people who take a bit of performance enhancing drugs to look good, etc. Or well, that's cheating. What is even the ethical argument?
What are you cheating? What?
You're not competing,
Cheating
so who
what?
are you cheating? And if it's making you feel better and look better and move better, like our logo is in fact, then what's wrong with that? And if you're taking small doses and you're being monitored and you're completely healthy by it, and it's giving you a better quality of life, then what's wrong with that? So there are lots of arguments on there. Where the worrying thing is, I think, is within we have seen, and it's not rare, we've seen like dads giving their kids D-ball at 14, 15 because he wants them to play rugby or be bigger, or kids at 15 popping 10 D-balls a day. Girls, there was a case study done of 14 children in London, under 16, girls taking Anavar because they thought it's going to make them look better. Wow. So this is extremely that's a worrying thing, and what they call this Love Island syndrome, where people are taking gear just train and eat.
Yeah.
I mean, look, a lot of guys taking gear. It's got to be extremely sad, and it's got to be said they still look shit.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that's a it's a waste of money, and you could be possibly damaging yourself. Basic training and basic food will get that anyway. And you don't need to have that bagel at 2:30 and Rice Krispies at 4 o'clock.
Isn't it 4:30? I thought.
No. In Birmingham, that's
is it 4? And then I get mixed up with the times when you enter.
No, because in Birmingham that's how it works. It takes a bit longer to figure things out.
Right, I got you. Yeah.
Or we put chicken curry.
Is it 6 meals or 5 meals? I can't remember. I get mixed up.
4.276.
Right, got you.
Right.
Yeah.
But then you got chicken curry for breakfast, lunch, evening meal. It does the trick.
Hold on, but chicken is not a breakfast meal. That's where it gets all confusing. Breakfast is breakfast.
We're minorities. We can get away with it. I keep on telling you. It's our.
Where is it written down? I get so confused. Google says different, man.
It's our time now, mate. We can have chicken in the morning and at night. Lamb curry in the morning.
It's like when you tell someone, you're like, right, a nutrition plan for them. Like, right, I want you to do this.
Isn't it?
But that's not. But I can't have that for breakfast. Fuck me. Who said you can't have that for breakfast?
No, it's always makes me laugh.
Also, you can't eat what you need to eat for your body to fuel best because it's not a breakfast.
Yeah. I mean, I like that. Baby Bell cheese or a bagel at 2 o'clock or something.
Who said this?
I've seen it in a plan, like
Wow. Baby Bell. May as well eat that, yeah.
Yeah, they're not that little cheese.
No, yeah, but I was saying, but is it about the same nutrition?
No, but. And or like 12 peanuts, it just always makes me laugh, this sort of stuff. I mean, like, end of the day, let's be honest, eggs, beans and toast isn't a bad meal either,
I thought it was 13 peanuts. Fuck's sake.
No.
Getting all mixed
You actually can't have peanuts, you got to have almonds.
Oh, yeah, of course, it's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be almonds, yeah.
Well, you got me on Brazil's.
Brazil's are very good for you.
Yeah. Changed my life, that did.
Yeah. I mean, look, you've grown.
It's one of the percentages that changed my life.
Yeah, it's, Brazil nuts. I mean, nuts. There was a really, really good study done by a Japanese guy from Tokyo, very smart study, and he sort of posits that you need to have almonds, Brazil nuts, cashews, olives, avocados, and that's all you need. And
for your fat sources, yeah.
20 minutes walking a day for cardiovascular health, because cardiovascular health is also 75% genetic.
Yeah.
And this is absolutely perfect. This is what he said. A really good study. I mean, lots of evidence in there, etc. Maybe he's right.
Yeah. Right, we will have to wrap. It's been absolutely amazing, and I know there is tons of nuggets that we've taken.
And if I offended anybody, you know where Dean lives.
If offended anyway, don't care.
Yeah, you can go to Dean's and sort Dean out. And thank you very much.
We'll put his address at the bottom of this anyway. So
yeah.
But mate, I mean it.
No.
It's always such a pleasure to be in your time.
Right, son. Next time I see you, I want to see 100 kg.
Where can people see you and
we're based in Leicester, Market Harborough, Birmingham, Newcastle, London. If they want to come to Dubai, they can see us. If they want to see us in Riyadh, they can see us over there.
All over the place.
Yeah, you can come and see us.
But follow him on
we'll
Transform
hello,
now.
Yeah, we'll say hello. And
no,
thank you very much.
Man. Thank you very much.
Cheers.